The Yamhill Carlton district is part of the larger Willamette Valley where we know it's been demonstrated to be a great place to grow Pinot Noir. And the nuances of this area, as distinct from, say, the Eola Hills or the Red Hills, are that the wines have sort of more spice and exotic qualities to them.
Having tried my hand at many different types of grapes, I think that Pinot Noir is one of the more challenging. I think it's one of the more, I find it more creative because it responds so much to what you do.
The beginning of the attraction was just the quality of the fruit.
In terms of importance, I would say it's the soil and then the climate. But those are the two things that define the terroir of this AVA.
The people that started here and the people that choose to come here really embrace the ethos of the area. To me, that's working really hard to make great quality wine, but also focusing on the community and supporting the community. And those are two things that I'm really proud about.
It's always interesting to put words to what makes a place unique. You know, I stuck my stake in the ground right here because for me it resonates for the qualities that are important to me in Pinot Noir, and that's wines that will be perfumed and elegant and yet age-worthy. I think that this place on earth has the wherewithal to make wines consistently of that caliber and quality.
I felt that this was exactly the quality of Pinot Noir that I hoped to achieve and to make. And after being here, and then finding out what a great community it is, it was only reinforcing. So it's a tremendous place to work and play.
We, being this whole AVA, that the whole wine drinking world seems to be paying attention to. I started this up with the idea of being a grower, and I just wanted to grow good fruit and see other people do good things with it. But about 7 or 8 years into it, I started to exceed my expectations, what some people were doing with it, and I started to feel a challenge to see what I could do as well. What we at Shea Wine Cellars are doing, which is trying to make us one specific style. We think as a winery that we should have a given style, which is to have ripe fruit to the extent that Mother Nature gives us the ability to do it, full-bodied, and not go over a line that would stop being characteristic of what is the best of Pinot Noir. We're absolutely not trying to make the same wine every year. I think one of the great glories of Pinot Noir is how it shows every vintage and the nuance of that vintage. So we try and not create the same wine every time, but rather bring out the best that the vintage allows us to show. We're trying to highlight the land, highlight the vintage, not take either one out of the wine. Philosophy of making wine is that it's pretty much all about the fruit and letting the terroir, letting the fruit show itself, letting the vintage show itself. The essential description of what we're trying to do is turn some great fruit into great wine.
Well, Yamhill and Carlton, the communities, they're two towns, so they're just 3 miles from each other. They've been tied to the hip, essentially, since the 1850s. First of all, Carlton's only 1,800 people, and Yamhill's less than 1,000.
It's a little town that has developed a pretty nice little infrastructure. There are now places to stay in Carlton. There are good places to eat in Carlton. You can spend the day in Carlton.
We have this great site that has this beautiful drained soil and this great alignment to the sun and these great qualities to make good wine. It also has great natural beauty. It's surrounded by a diverse array of farm and forest habitat, and it's beautiful in that sense. And I love the notion that the place that you do grow your wine is also a beautiful place, because it's sort of like inspiring to you. You know, wine is not a widget, it's an aesthetic creation. So it is about giving pleasure, and I like being inspired by the trees and the landscape around me as well.
wine region in general, when we first came out here, was really the biggest draw for us to be here in Oregon. And the proximity of Portland to Willamette Valley or to Carlton and Yamhill in general, it's in our backyard. It's one of my favorite places to go bike riding and ponder amongst the vineyards on the food I'm going to create when I come back home.
I think what distinguishes the wines of the Yamhill Carlton AVA is the ripeness of the wines. There's a more blue and black fruit character than red fruit character. There's an open feel to the wines. Other areas produce wines that are more tightly structured, perhaps. There's a welcoming quality about all of the wines that I like from the Yamhill Carlton AVA.
To me, it's quintessential Pinot Noir that is redolent of blackberries and raspberries and clove and tobacco and coffee and I mean, all those are like incredibly food-friendly flavors that I really use.
There's an abundance of spice and floral qualities that is not as common in areas around us. And we have violets, and some really pretty high notes of floral qualities, and it's just really beautiful.
The Yamhill Carlton AVA just brings that real dark fruit flavor and concentration of fruit that to me is quintessential Oregon Pinot Noir.
It's captivating in its aroma. It first grabs you right away, and there's mystery in it because there's more than simple fruit. And in texturally, it's like no other wine. It has silk and generosity, and ultimately the best wines have a kind of persistence that will linger for a good long time.
Pinot from the AVA of Yamhill and Carlton, people are going to start comparing to. I would say that's the most amazing thing, the evolution that has transpired in the past 10 years. Is its own grape, it's its own flavor profile. There's nothing that I would compare it to.
There's no other place in the world that will make Burgundy, but Burgundy can't make a Yamhill Carlton wine either. So what's magical about Pinot Noir is that it expresses the place. And if the place has something to say, that will be captured in the bottle.